Hey everybody, it's Flyin Ryan here with a review of the X-Drone Nano. And I'm not exactly sure what the brand is on this one. The Banggood website calls it Flytecs, but I don't see that anywhere on the box. All I see here is hella cute, which is pretty funny. But anyway, this is basically another clone of the X-Dart NEXT. So if you saw my review of the X-Dart NEXT, or of the JJRC 1000A. All three of these are basically the same thing, but the X-Drone Nano obviously adds the prop guards, and there's a black option, there's a white one as well. So pretty cool. I like the added prop guards, and I think it's a pretty cool looking presentation. Kind of gives it even more of that Phantom look, since the Phantom has prop guards like that as well. But again, you know, exactly the same as the X-Dart NEXT as far as flight characteristics. It's really stable, really quiet, nice tight flips. It even flips well with the prop guards on. It has nice soft landing feet. It has good LEDs. One thing to mention with the black top, it does kind of block out the LEDs when viewed from the top. You can still see them through the bottom white section really well. But the black top does kind of hurt the visibility of the LEDs. So not as great of a night flyer as the white ones if you get this black one. But this same quad does come in the white version, which I'd imagine the LEDs are just as visible as the you know, the X-Dart NEXT or the JJRC 1000A. It comes with a little bit smaller battery. It comes with a 250 milliamp hour battery, whereas the X-Dart NEXT and the 1000A came with a 300 milliamp hour battery. So I'm not sure why they went with a smaller battery when there's more weight because of the prop guards. You can fit a 300 milliamp hour battery in here just fine. But even with the smaller battery and the extra weight, you still get 5.5 minute flights with the LEDs on. Which is just 30 seconds shorter than the X-Dart NEXT. And with the LEDs off, you get about 5 minutes and 45 seconds. So just a little bit longer with the LEDs off. But, you know, I guess if you would put a 300 milliamp hour battery in there, you may get similar flight times to the X-Dart NEXT. Let's see. And so it also comes with a full set of spare props and a USB charging cable as usual. And the transmitter is kind of cool. It's a white transmitter, which is a little different. No LCD display though, so a little bit. You've got to use, you know, sound warning indicators and all that to know what everything's doing. There's no display, but it does have 3 rates, which you can hear by the sounds. 1, 2, and 3. And then in that third high rate there, it flips with full stick input. There's no flip button. You only flip at 100% rates. And then it also has a mode and LED button, which LED, you just tap it and it'll turn the LEDs on and off. But if you press and hold it, it changes to mode 4, where your right stick, left and right aileron input moves to the left stick. And the left stick yaw input moves to the right stick, so you've got forward and backward pitch and left and right yaw, and then you've got your left and right pitch on the left stick. So some people like that. And then it also has this auto trim button, which I haven't exactly been able to figure out. The manual says that you're supposed to turn the quad on, then turn the transmitter on while pressing this button, and it'll auto trim it, which to me sounds like it's supposed to recalibrate the accelerometer, but I don't see how that's possible because it's not bound to the helicopter at the point when you're holding the button, and so like the LEDs never do anything to indicate that it worked. So I'm not sure if that's really working. But what I could determine is that it resets your trims. So if you move your trims over, since you don't have any LCD display to know what your trim settings are, and you have to like hear for that centered position, and it does save that. So When you turn it back on, I'm still 2 clicks off. You'll hear, now I'm centered. So let me put it 2 clicks off again. Now when I hold the auto trim and turn it on, now I'm re-centered. So you'll hear I can go 1 back and then move it back. Now it's centered. So it re-centered the trims, which I think is what auto trim really is. It just re-centers all your trims since you can't tell what their settings are with no LCD display. But you can still recalibrate the accelerometer by putting it on high rates and then moving both sticks to the bottom left corner, and then the LEDs on the quad will blink and the accelerometer will reset. So I think auto trim just recenters the trim. It doesn't actually do anything to the accelerometer. Let's see. I think that's about it. Pretty much, you know, the same flaws from the X-Dart NEXT, that the yaw's a little bit slow and it falls out of the sky right at LVC, so you'll want to make sure to bring it back to you before you get to LVC warning, because you do not have much time after the warning to make a nice smooth landing or bring it back to you. Alright, well that's about it, so let's take it for a flight. Alright, this is the flight review of the Flytecs X-Drone Nano. I'll be flying it with the WL Toys V222 transmitter, and just to make it clear, using this transmitter won't change the flight characteristics in any way. It'll still fly the same as it would with the stock controller. Basically just allows me to use a button to do flips instead of 100%. And I'll show you can turn the LEDs on and off from the transmitter there. And one thing I forgot to mention in the review, that this is a little bit different than the X-Dart NEXT and the 1000A, is that it has green LEDs in the back instead of blue. So that's kind of cool. But let's go ahead. I got her on 60% and start some flying. And again, just like the X-Dart NEXT and the 1000A, the yaw is pretty slow, so that's full 60% yaw rate there. Let's show off these prop guards a bit. Bounce her off the dryer there. So it works pretty well. Oh, that didn't work too well. That was a little bit faster, but at least it protected it. Alright. Come back. Alright, let's do some flipping. So still pretty nice flips even with the prop guards on. Pretty impressive that it can flip that well even with the prop guards on. Let's turn her up to 80%. So it's decent at 80%. You've got to be a little sensitive on the right stick to keep it from getting too out of control, but the yaw is pretty good at 80%. This is a little bit louder than the other two because of the extra weight from the prop guards, but still very stable. Looks like I need a little bit of left trim. There we go. Alright, take her in, turn off some lights and show off the LEDs. Looks like Christmas now. So you can see the LEDs are a little bit hard to see from above. They pretty much don't shine through the black canopy at all. But from the below and sides and front, you can see it in the bottom half of the quad just fine. So that's just one thing to consider when you're choosing black or white. The white will have more visible LEDs, but I think the black looks pretty cool. Still very, very bright LEDs. Alright, take her in for a landing. Actually, let's do a night flip. Alright, now let's take her in for a landing. Oop, little bouncy. Get some lights back on. Alright, that is that. That's the X-Drone Nano from Flytecs. Basically an X-Dart NEXT clone. And between this and the JJRC 1000A, I think I would recommend this just because, you know, it comes with the prop guards and you can take them off if you want. But you might as well have the option for them. That's kind of cool. I guess just one thing to consider is whether or not you prefer green or blue LEDs would really be the only other difference. But alright, well thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you next time.